everyone. The video you're about to watch or listen to was actually taken about 6 months ago in Phoenix, Arizona. And I've just been holding it for the right time to release it. And I feel like that time is now. And I just wanted to preface the video by once again stating that if you have cancer or you know someone that has cancer and you have any questions after watching this video or feel that it could benefit anyone in any way, shape, or form, please don't hesitate to message me or reach out to me on social media. I just have been through a lot in 8 years, and all I want to do is try to give back to someone else that could benefit from everything that I've been through. That's the ultimate main purpose of the video. And I felt like now is the time to release it because I just came back from Iowa where I had scans and met with my surgeon and my specialist, and I'm all clean again. So that means I'm 2 years post second surgery, all clean. And I just wanted to say thank you to my oncologist in Bryan, Texas, Dr. Aaron Fleener, my surgeon in Iowa, Dr. James Howe, and my specialist, Dr. Chandrika Chandaskaran. Sorry, it took me a minute there to get that one out. I call her Dr. Cece, but she is a specialist in neuroendocrine cancer if anyone's looking for a specialist. And Dr. Howe is an amazing neuroendocrine surgeon in Iowa. So if you need any help or you're in Texas, please reach out to Dr. Aaron Fleener for any cancer needs. She's not just neuroendocrine. She's any form of cancer that you may have, but she's an amazing doctor and someone I would call a friend. Thank you, and enjoy listening or watching.
Hi. My name's Jim Polich. I'm 52 years old. Been battling neuroendocrine cancer for a little over 7 years. Right now I'm in Apache Junction, Arizona, visiting my relatives, and I just felt time to share my story a little bit and let some people hear my testimony, and if I can offer any encouragement or any advice or help in how for you to walk your battle out, I would be more than happy to do that. I was originally diagnosed in December of 2015 with stage 4 neuroendocrine tumor, pancreatic primary, Ki-67 number of 64, high grade, poorly differentiated. And anytime you hear that in the neuroendocrine community, it's usually not a good diagnosis, and I'm not saying it was a good one. Immediately started, I was pretty sick. I had metastasis to lymph nodes in the abdomen. My tumor had my pancreas body and tail wrapped up. My pancreas head was clear though. That's one good thing, and my liver has always been clear. Those are two things that I've been very blessed and fortunate with. One of my ministers prayed that over me from the beginning, that it would not spread anywhere, and it hasn't spread since. But I was pretty sick, so I started the normal cycle of I did no, I can't think. Etoposide and cisplatin. Sorry, I was thinking of carboplatin, but cisplatin and etoposide. I did actually 8 cycles, not the standard 6. I achieved about 40% reduction in tumor burden and developed neuropathy in my feet and hands. It was pretty bad in the beginning, but it has since subsided to where I have very little in my feet and virtually none in my hands. But only achieved 45%. That was from January to July of 2016. And then my oncologist in Waco, Texas, only had FOLFIRINOX to offer me. And I just did not feel to do another toxic treatment. So I decided to hold off, and I did Captem, the pills, and did that till about November, December. That didn't work, and he basically told me he didn't have anything else for me, that there weren't any other options. At that point, I was getting pretty much worse than I was before. It had fully come back plus some, and my options were nothing. And I saw this video on YouTube from this doctor in Australia who believed that high-grade, poorly differentiated neuroendocrine tumor patients like mine could receive some kind of benefit from PRRT. And obviously I'd never heard of PRRT, so I researched that a little bit, and knew you needed to have your receptors on your tumor light up on a octreotide scan, which was a basic scan at the time. The gallium-64 had just come out, so on a prayer I just emailed this doctor. I found his email within the Google video, and I sent him an email at night, my time, probably midnight. And when I sent it, I was not very faithful and said, I'm never going to hear from this guy. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that I received a response in less than 30 minutes. Obviously, he was 18 hours ahead, or 16, I can't remember. But I received his reply and was very encouraged. He told me to immediately go and get a gallium-64 scan, because I did already do an octreotide scan, but it was so vague that there was some light up, but no one could really interpret the findings or the report. And my surgeon definitely couldn't tell anything, and my oncologist, I think I probably knew at that point, knew as much as he did, if not more, than my own disease. So this doctor in Australia encourages me to go get this gallium scan and try to get PRRT, that based off the receptors, if I did light up, it should have some benefit. So I got a hold of Excel Diagnostics in Houston, and I did got an appointment set up to do the scan, and went down there. I was really sick the night before, and went in, and we had asked, how long does it take to get this report back and to be able to talk to somebody about doing treatment. And they said, oh, usually about a week. And I said, my minister went with me at the time, and we asked, is there any way we could just do the scan and stay through lunch? Is there any opportunity we could have to meet with Dr. Deplison? And they asked, and they allowed us to do it. And we went in the board meeting room and came in after lunch, and they had their stack of reports and the scan, and they looked at me and said, well, we feel like you'd be an excellent candidate because all of your tumors, so the tumor and the lymph nodes, lit up like Christmas trees. So you can imagine what I felt like. I immediately was crying like a baby, so happy that I would be able to receive another form of treatment to try to get me to feel better. Because one of the main burdens I had is, I have 7 children. I'm married. I have 7 children, and I just wanted to be able to have an opportunity to be their father a lot longer, because honestly I'd made a lot of mistakes, and still have the last 7 years, but I'm trying to be the best father I can be. But that was just such a blessing to hear that I could do this treatment, and I did. And I did 4 rounds of PRT, the lutetium 77, and first one knocked it back like 35%, so we were really excited, and boy, I felt good. After you recover, it takes about a week to 10 days to recover from it, and I lost probably, I don't know, 30 pounds. Went down to like 202, and just felt great. I was eating like a horse. I could do anything. Felt great. I did 3 more treatments, but I only got 55% of it taken care of, and you couldn't do any more than that. And so during that time, I found Dr. Lou, the surgeon for neuroendocrine cancer in Denver, Colorado, and I went and had a meeting with him because my surgeon in Temple, Texas, whom I met, was the very first doctor I met after I was diagnosed. And he said, yeah, we just don't do surgery on these high-grade, poorly differentiated tumors. It just doesn't really work out, and you need to just stick with treatment from your oncologist and see what you can do there. And so I was at now I'd done PRT and only knocked it back 55%. But let me go back and say, when I was diagnosed, it took about 10 days to get the report back, and because no one really knew what it was. I had a 6-inch tumor in my pancreas, like I said, in the body and tail, and of course everyone thought it was pancreatic cancer, and boy, how do you deal with that? But at that point I had just gone through a pretty significant spiritual battle and got a huge victory. And so this diagnosis, yes, I'm not gonna lie, it was not easy, but boy, I could handle it a lot. Not, I don't want to say easier, but the devil didn't have as much punch in giving it to me because of what I had just gone through. So I had faith, basically, is my point here. I had faith to move in something that I had just received, and I had the faith, if I saw that mountain be removed that I had just gone through spiritually, and it was a pretty big mountain. Then this new mountain, even though it was quite bigger, I could have the faith to do the same thing to this mountain. So now we can pick up where I left off. So after PRT, I met with Dr. Lou, and my surgeon, like I said, here in Temple, Texas, surgery wasn't an option. He said it was in the beginning, and do treatment, come back and we'll talk about it. And we did that. And then he said, we had talked to my colleague in Iowa City, Iowa, and Dr. James Howe, who ended up doing my surgery later on, but said, no, we don't do those. And so then I talked to Dr. Lou, and I go and meet him in Denver, and really liked him. Sorry, I got a phone call there. But really a different experience within a doctor's office. You go in, you meet with the PA first, I think, in a normal doctor's office setting. And then when you go to meet Dr. Lou, you actually go into his office, and he's got his computers. He's in his desk chair, you're in front of him, and people around him, they're part of the team, are there, and they're all listening to your story, and he's giving his opinion on everything. And after the first meeting, knowing what I'd gone through with treatment, seeing all my scans and PRT, and he looked at my diagnosis from the report, and he looked at a few other things, and he basically came back and said, I believe you're high. I believe you're high grade. He didn't change that part, but I don't believe that you're poorly differentiated. he said he believed I was this oddball in between, and he said he thought surgery for me would be a good thing to do, and he was willing to do surgery on me. And boy, I was excited. Here I found someone been looking for this one of the things I've been looking for the whole time was to do treatment, get this tumor burden down, and then get these tumors out and try to have the most time to spend with my family as possible. So I'm excited to come back. I got something here. I go to Dr. Larimore in Temple, my surgeon down there, and tell him the story, and Jim, I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't agree with that. So I don't know, 6 months later, I went back and had another meeting with Dr. Lou, and he scanned me at that time. He really felt good about doing surgery, and he said, it's on the table. You want to come back? I'm your surgeon from here on out. You want to do this, come back and we'll do it. So I went back home, I shared it with my wife, ministers, friends, and then we went back and met with Dr. Larimore in Temple, and said, Dr. Larimore, shared it with him, and he looked at us and he said, what do you really want to do here? What are you feeling? He didn't want to do it, but he understood something was going on. And I said, I just want to have the best opportunity to live the longest. And I feel like if we get this stuff out, that I'm going to have the best opportunity to do that. And now I got to go back and backtrack again. I'm sorry. It's been 7 years, so I get things, I don't get them mixed up, but I get lost in translation a little bit. So after PRT in 2017, after the fourth one, felt like it was growing back, and was having some kidney issues, or really it was just urinating issues, not kidney issues. And I went and got scanned, and I started to grow back like 15%. But in the meantime, I forgot this is an important part. I've always felt Opdivo, nivolumab, was what I was supposed to be doing. Hi there. It's the first thing that I saw after I was diagnosed, was an article about a man in England that was not given the opportunity and was on his deathbed, basically. And then because of money, and then he was finally given it, and he walked out of the hospital 3 days later. And that's his very first video I saw after I was diagnosed. And so then I always had that in the back of my bag there, and I'd ask my oncologist, I want to do this. I feel like, get me in. I want to do this. No, you don't have the markers for it. I didn't have P1, I didn't have PS1, I didn't have MSI, didn't have CTLA4, nothing. I did the whole gene test, 0, nothing showed up. So there's the precursor to where we're going here. So after PRT, I find this trial, and one's in Dallas, one's in Bryan, Texas. And called the one in Dallas, got set up, and it was a circus. It was like literally like going to a circus, people jumping on tables and so excited, and you're in. Yeah, they fill out all these 80 pieces of paper and we'll call you tomorrow and set it up. So they called the next day and said, oh, sorry, you're not a candidate. When you do become one, we'll let you know. So in the meantime, I had already had an appointment set up in Bryan, Texas with Dr. Fleener at Chi St. Joseph. And I had brought her the disc actually from Excel Diagnostics in Houston after I had scanned, after what I felt was coming back. And hi there. So I dropped the disc off on my way back home, and then we had our meeting. We walk in the office to meet Dr. Fleener again. We'd already met her in like September of 17, but we weren't a candidate, and she'd already said we're not a, yeah, you have to have some tumor growth here, you're not a candidate. By the way, that's a beautiful sun there. You're not a candidate. So went and got the scan done and drop it off, and then we're meeting with her and walk in, and in between that, you know, here I am growing back again, feeling like it was. And so I'm meeting with, you know, radiation now. I think that's the best thing we can do is radiate it. And we go to Dr. Fleener and tell her what our plan is, and she looks at us and says, that seems like a pretty good plan, but my team is outside the door, and we're offering you the clinical trial of Opdivo and Yervoy, and we want you to participate in the trial, but why don't you take a few minutes, you and your wife, why don't you pray about it, see what you feel to do, and get back with me. And we didn't leave the office. We obviously felt like that was God, and we signed up for the clinical trial, and started in November of 2017. And subsequently, I gotta backtrack again, I didn't meet Dr. Liu until 18. So this is after I've already started the clinical trial, because he read some of my reports. Because after my first dose of Opdivo and Yervoy, 2 weeks after the first one, I was just wiped out. I couldn't move from the chair for probably 4 days. And my first scan, I think it was the third month, so like February of March of 18, 80% of the burden was gone. And it was like, wow, everybody was like excited. And of course, Dr. Fleener is a little hesitant. Let's not get overly excited here. And but then Dr. Lewis really took it and ran with it. He said, you know, we really got something here. Let's get it in, get it out. Let's get in, get it out. So go back to Dr. Larimore and say, you know, and he says, what do you want? And like I said, I really want to just get some of this out and be able to live as long as I can to be with my family. And he said, okay. He said, I hear what you're saying. Finally had some breakthrough. This is, I think, November of 18. And he goes and makes a phone call to Dr. Howe in Iowa City. And he comes back in and he says, if you go and meet with my colleague, Dr. Howe, who he went to school with, I think, and they did maybe they didn't go, yeah, I think they did go to school together. And then they did their beginnings together. They've been lifelong friends. He said, if Dr. Howe will do this surgery on you, I will. And, okay, great. All right, we got somewhere. And third opinion, third surgeon, let's do it. So we do it. Go to Iowa City, meet Dr. Howe, sit down in his office, and start explaining everything to him about what Dr. Liu said. And you know, about I'm not high grade. Here I am high grade. I'm not poorly differentiated. And he looked at us. So anyway, we met with Dr. Howe. Great meeting. We really felt a lot for him. He said, look, your decision, basically. You make whatever decision you want. I think you're a candidate to have it taken out. Now you just need to decide basically who you want to do it. So here we go with having an answer, and then we go back to Texas, and I think in that time frame we found out Dr. Larimore in Temple wasn't even doing surgery anymore. So long story short, we end up doing the surgery in January of 19 with Dr. Howe. 10.5 hour surgery, gets the everything out. Pancreas, takes 70% of my pancreas out, basically leaves the head. Takes the spleen out because I had a blood clot in my spleen. Takes my left adrenal gland out. Takes my gallbladder out because it's full of stones, and I've always had problems with that. And then a bunch of lymph nodes, and had probably a 10-day recovery, week in the hospital. And then I think we spent 4 days in Iowa City. We had friends of ours from Waco, Mark and Linda Sherman, went with us. We were there for like almost 3 weeks. They took care of us, drove us around everywhere, and then went to get the staples out. And I'd had a fever. I should have stayed home, should have just stayed in the hotel, but we ended up flying home. They drove our car home, and next day my wound opened up, and then I had another 3-month battle dealing with that. So that's how we get to surgery. And after surgery, meet with Dr. Howe before you leave, and all the biopsy stuff comes back. It's all dead. There's not one living cell in anything they took out outside the parameters. Nothing. None of it's alive. So basically the Opdivo, Yervoy, or just Opdivo, one or the other, both probably, had just annihilated this stuff and killed it all. And so then you look back and you really know that I know God spoke to me about Opdivo in the beginning, said this is what you need to do. And I could have went and just did whatever on-call just told me to do, done FOLFIRINOX or done some other high toxic treatments, and I just didn't feel to do that. I did PRRT, which I know it's a nuclear treatment, but it's more of a targeted therapy. And not saying I didn't struggle through things there, but long run it was a lot easier than treatment was. So after that, come home and I stay on Opdivo. By then I was off the Yervoy. That's only a 6-cycle treatment. So then I'm staying on Opdivo as maintenance, and I did that for almost 3 years. A total run from November of 17 to November of 20. Then I got off Opdivo, and then it was by February of 21 they had noticed lymph node in the pelvic area was starting to get bigger. So we decided we'd keep an eye on it. And then August, we ended up doing a PET scan, and we did another scan in May, and then we did a PET scan, it lit up. So we decided we'd do a biopsy, would be the best thing. And the biopsy came back benign, which was exciting in some sense, but didn't really feel right. And we went to Colorado, took our kids camping up in Mullis Lake and near Silverton, and just got a little break before we were going to head to Iowa. And we thought we were just going to Iowa for a meeting. We'd talk about everything and probably go home. And we get there, and both Dr. Howe and Dr. Jen Descara, who's my specialist, say, it's your decision, but these things don't just light up on PET scans and be benign, so you really need to make a decision on what you want to do. We're prepared to do surgery on Friday for you. So wife and I prayed about it. I called all 4 of my ministers at the time and told them everything of what was gonna do and what we were feeling to do, and everybody felt good about it. So I had surgery on Friday, got released on Tuesday, and I've been cancer free. I don't ever call myself cancer free. I've just been with nothing shows up on scans for 1.5 years. Let's just put it that way. I don't know that with my diagnosis I'll ever consider myself free. But as long as I can be clean on a scan, I'll be happy. But a year and a half now I've been clean. When they biopsied my lymph nodes, they did change it to neuroendocrine carcinoma, and my KI number actually went up and stayed obviously high grade and poorly differentiated. So, but a year and a half now and still on Opdivo. So I've had, I think, a little over 4 years of it now, and I'll probably stay on it for the future for a while, maybe indefinitely. I'll just have to see how I feel. And the only side effect I ever have from it is minor itching on my left leg. But that's my cancer story, and I just want to try to share it with anyone that can be encouraged to know that, to really, some of us, we just can't do anything about what we have. I understand that, but be a researcher for yourself. I would have never been told to look for a clinical trial. I did on my own, and I found the Opdivo one on clinicaltrial.gov, and I looked at lots of trials. I mean, I was willing to do anything, and the window just opened up for me. And this Opdivo Yervoy trial is not for every neuroendocrine patient. I understand that, because some people it just doesn't work. Some people it harms even worse than not doing it. So I fully get it, but just what I overall feel is, if you believe in God and you have faith, that you can really move mountains in your life. And just want to encourage other people to reach out and find some help if you need help. And if you don't know how to research what you have, ask people close to you. Reach out to me. I've done lots of research over 7 years. I have lots of articles about everything, and it's just it's been quite the journey. There's been lots of ups and downs, but there's always been joy in the journey. And I wouldn't change any part of what I've done, even looking back and knowing that I didn't really need surgery. I'm diabetic now because I only have 70% of my pancreas, but I wouldn't change anything because of the relationships that I received through it. Dr. Larimore, Dr. Howe, Dr. Lou, all of the nurses, Dr. Chesnikova from Ukraine, who did most of my first operation with Dr. Howe. All the people that I've come across, not one relationship has fallen to the ground. All the people that have helped me, all my brothers and sisters at Homestead Heritage in Waco, Texas, and across the globe, in all of our sister communities, all the people in the body that have prayed for me, they're the ones that gave me strength when I needed it. And it's just I am a walking miracle. Not many neuroendocrine patients that had the diagnosis I did are out here walking 6 miles in Apache Junction, Arizona on March 4th, 2023. So there's just lots of joy, lots of stories, lots of testimonies about it, lots of things that wouldn't have happened if you weren't in the right relationship with God that you were in. And I'm not saying everyone that's for everyone. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that's me. That's my particular testimony, and I just want to try to help be an encouragement to other people that are struggling and battling through really any form of cancer, but most of all neuroendocrine cancer, because it is so effective to people. It really does affect people in different ways than other cancers do. There's lots of carcinomas involved for some people, and any cancer is bad. I'm not saying this is any different, but the neuroendocrine patients, some of them do have a lot more to deal with than others. Fortunately, I never did have carcinoma syndrome. Even though I'm considered NEC now, I don't deal with syndrome. But anyway, that's 33 minutes and 45 seconds of my testimony for today, and I'll try to be sharing a lot more as we go along the journey here. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments and I'll answer them as best I can.